a long time ago, as a kid, I ran track in middle school. I did 200s and 400s in a relay here or there. But I was never like the kid who placed. I was never the kid who came in last. I was just always kind of in the middle. And with that mindset, I always thought, well, I'm probably not good enough to run all the time and make a sport out of it. I didn't think I was good enough. Fast forward to after my two kids were born, in 2009, it was my first time running a 5K. A friend had invited me to run on her team, raising money for breast cancer. And when I had run that, I had trained and I ate spaghetti because that's what you're supposed to do. and then when I crossed that finish line, I have no idea what my time even was, but I knew I was hooked. That finish line was such a thrill and a fun thing to do, so I knew I wasn't done. Fast forward again another year, a friend of mine was planning to run the Chicago Half Marathon in the fall, and I thought, what in the world is a half marathon? I want to try that. That sounds like something I can do. So again, I trained. I remember like my first double-digit run and my first time like using fuel and all these things that are just normal now. But same thing when we got to Chicago and ran that race, my husband found me along the course, and when I was done, I was like, holy cow, I just did that. And after that, I thought, okay, let's do more. I ran the Riverbank Run 25K and got a little hurt from that one. I didn't know you're supposed to buy new shoes after a while. And then after that, it was 2012, I ran the Chicago Marathon for the first time. And that was before you had to qualify or be drawn in a lottery. But when I ran the Chicago Marathon, it was definitely one of the hardest things I had ever done. My brother ran it with me, and he finished a whole hour and plus ahead of me. And when it was done, I hurt so bad. My husband had to put me into the cab to get back to the hotel. But I knew that I had accomplished something big and something that not a lot of people do. And I wasn't done. I wanted to do more. So yeah, I just kept going. I keep doing races because, I like the bling. I love the medals and the shirts and the fun things you get. I also like the people. It's my friends that I run with, so then I race with my friends as well. And there's something special about runners. Nobody judges you as a runner. When you are out there just doing your best and trying something that's hard, nobody cares what you look like. Nobody cares if you're fast or slow. Nobody cares if you're in first place or last place. They're just excited to see you do it. And I think that's why I keep coming back to races, and plus they're just fun. And some of them are so interesting. There's some that like run through cities or I ran a race through a dairy once that ran right through the cow barns. You see so many fun things and meet so many cool people this way. So yeah, racing is totally fun. When I was training for Chicago Marathon, I joined the Gazelle Sports running club in Holland, Michigan. And when I joined that, I was definitely the rookie runner, and running with a lot of people that already seemed to know what they were doing. And in that group, I met Eddie, and I remember doing hill workouts with him and saying he would run by me and say, "Get your knees up, get your knees up," and then. I remember him saying that he wanted to start a race on the path along Lakeshore Drive that we run all the time in that group. And I said, well, I'll run your race with you. And so he started that in 2014, and it was, it was a hard one, but it was local and it was fun. And I again, as a lot of my local friends from my run group that were running it. So, then the next year I just did it again and did it again because it's just right there and it's easy and I know the people. And plus it's put on by runners. Every single person that is on their staff is either connected to a runner or is a runner themselves, so they know what runners are looking for. They know how to put on a race with a good course and good snacks along the way, and they know how to like what medals and what shirts and just all the little details that often get overlooked in newer races. But Eddie got it right. So I remember the first race of Holland Haven. I decided to run the half marathon. And I was training for a fall marathon that year, so it fell right into the schedule of doing a half marathon at that time. That race was brand new. It started at the beach house, like halfway between Holland Haven and Grand Haven, or Holland and Grand Haven, and then it went opposite what it does now. It started on the south side and went north to Grand Haven. I remember it being very, very hilly. I remember being this monstrous hill at the end that I never thought was gonna end. And when I got to the top, there was this gorgeous view of Lake Michigan with the lighthouse there. And it swung around and it ended in a park. I remember I went home and took a shower and came back because one of my friends was finishing her very first marathon that day, and I wanted to see her finish. It was a good race. I remember it being hard, but it was good. I knew, and hard makes me come back. So I don't know. I like doing hard things. Year 2, I remember that they turned it around. They started on the north side this time and came south. So started on the Haven side, Grand Haven, and then went to Holland. For the half that year, they started at Camp Geneva, which they still do, and it's the current course. And I remember starting way too fast, which is a big fat no-no in running because you run out of juice when you need it. And so in the middle, I struggled, but at the end, I finished with a smile, and it was a lot of fun. I remember getting a medal, and they had changed the design to make it a little windmill, which is the current logo. But yeah, that one was a hard one because I started too fast. Year 3, 2016, that was what I call PR year. I had lost some weight, which I guess made me faster, and I didn't really intend to get faster, but it was a lot of fun because every race that year it was PR, PR, PR. And when I ran Holland Haven, I had set, the weather was perfect that morning too, like low 50s, no wind, little sun, and when I was done, I was like, I think I set another PR, and sure enough, I had finished it like a minute faster per mile than I had been running previously. So that was really, really fun. I had a good time that year. Year 4 was 2017. I was training for a fall marathon, so Holland Haven was a training run for me. So I had a goal of being at 2 hours, 10 minutes or slower. I had to go slow because if I go out too fast, then I was gonna hurt my training for my ultimate goal of the marathon. But I ended at like a 2:08 because the racing spirit gets to me, and I went a little faster than intended, but it was fine. It was a good year. Year 5 was the year, it was 2018, when I'm a toe runner, so I often struggle with like calf injuries or like plantar fasciitis injuries, and that was a year that my foot was hurting, and I thought, I don't know if I dare run a half and like with the intensity that I would have. So I decided to run the 8K, which was, I don't know when it was introduced to Holland Haven, but it was around there, and that one starts in Holland at the finish line, and then you run kind of an out, do a loop, and then you come back. And when I ran that one, I had like an injured goal time, and of course I was like way faster than what I was supposed to be, but it was okay because again, it was so much fun. And when I finished and saw my time, I was like, "Ooh, I hope I didn't make a mistake there." But it's okay. It all panned out, and it was still a good year. 2019 was the year I decided to run 2 marathons in one season, which is something I hadn't done before. So I decided that year I wanted to run the full marathon, and mostly because of the trifecta medal, which is the little spinny windmill that you get when you run the 8K, the half, and the full at any time. So I thought, well, here's my year. And I remember a couple things. One is because Fox 17 News from Grand Rapids was there that morning. So Eddie wanted me to interview with them, so I did. And just because at that point I was just one of the regular runners, and then I actually got my own bus ride, my own bus to the start line. And I remember thinking, holy moly, I have to run all this way back. And but because I was running 2 marathons that fall and the next one being 5 weeks later, I wanted to make sure that I was taking this one really easy. So I downloaded an audiobook, and one that I was about this time that it would be to take me to finish, and I just ran it nice and easy. And I remember this is the first time in a race that I didn't walk at all. I didn't feel crummy at the end. I didn't feel sore or tired, or it was weird, and it was so fun because I could do that. I didn't think I could. So yeah, that was a good year too. Year 7, COVID. What I appreciated about that year was Eddie was very, very adamant that race that year in September of 2020 was not going to be virtual. Every single race up until then was virtual, and I hate virtual races. I run virtual races every day, or not every day in my training, but he was really, really adamant that he could have an in-person race. So with working with the health department, he made it so that we could have an in-person race. That was the first one I had done that year, all the way in September. And it was kind of weird because they started us for the half marathon where the full marathon normally starts in Grand Haven. We had to be masked and spaced out. At the starting line, we had to stand on these dots, and so we were all spaced out, and everybody was like, this is so weird. And then when we got going, he said when we were not near people, we could take our mask down, but then if we were by people, we had to put it back on. And that was just the rules that the health department had given him because he wanted to have it. And so we were all happy to oblige because we wanted to run as well. So yeah, that was a crazy year, and I remember thinking, oh, finally, here we are again. And but yeah, a good year, a good race, and I appreciate Eddie's efforts to make it happen. Okay, so year 8, 2021, it was back to normal after COVID, so that was good. Same thing started. I did the half again that year. That's my favorite distance, and we started back at Geneva. One thing I love about it's the half marathon, but it's in all of the races too. But the snacks at the aid stations are so good too, because there's nothing like watermelon at mile 12 or bacon at mile 12. It's just he knows exactly what we like as runners. So yeah, that year was just a year that was just nice to get back to normal, and yeah, it was like the good old days of running that race. So year 9, last year, 2022, it was a year where our run group kind of had dissipated because of COVID. So a lot of the running I was doing was on my own. But because I have been running with friends, I found several at the start line that I could meet up with, and it's kind of nice because you see somebody and you're like, hey, you want to run together? Sure, let's run together. So I can put my podcast away or whatever I was going to listen to, and then we can just talk the whole time. So I ran with my friend Pam that year, and we ended up finishing together. And a couple of times I was like, oh, I need to walk, and it was okay. It's fine. But yeah, and I found out last year too that I am the only guy that now has run it every single year. So yeah, one more. So year 10 is tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't run this distance since May. So I'm trying something new this year. I'm running in a run-walk style because of a training plan I'm following for the Dopey Challenge. Is a run-walk style. So I've always kind of been intrigued by it, and I thought, let's give it a go. What's the hurt? So I have a setting on my watch where every 3 minutes I'm running, and then for 30 seconds I walk, and I just do these intervals. It allows me to reset my form every single time I start a new interval, and it helps me to avoid injury. And so I'm curious to see what it does to my race times, how I feel at the end. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, the run went really good. It's perfect weather today. So felt strong the whole time. Yeah, great day to run. Beautiful, beautiful day.
And how did you feel with the new running plan?
It was good. We did 3 minutes walking with a 30-second, or 3 minutes running with 30-second walk, and it felt really good. The walks came exactly when we needed it. Towards the end, we would extend it by 10 seconds or so just to eat all the jelly beans and all the snacks so we wouldn't choke. But overall, it was really good. It felt good. I'm glad we did it that way.
I'm trying to remember. Does anything stand out on the course this year?
Not anything terribly different than all the years past. It's just such a good, well-oiled machine. They know how to put it on a good race. They have great food along the way and great cheering along the way. And it was really kind of weird to be announced at the finish line too, so that was really fun.
How I feel about being that guy, the one that's run everyone. I'm not sure how to feel. Sometimes I'm like, it's just me. I'm not that big of a deal. But Eddie reminds me every year how big of a deal it is. He always has me get on video somewhere for this accomplishment. It also tells me that I really, really like to run races, and I really, really like bling, and I really, really like just accomplishing things. And I guess now that I have done it every year, I have to do it every year. So if I hope I don't have to stop. I'll keep going till I can't. But yeah, I'm not sure how to feel. It's kind of a cool accomplishment, but I haven't wrapped my head around that yet. Someday I will.